The reason I'm here tonight, the reason you're here tonight, is because I'm here to talk to you about the electronic pop duo, LMFAO. You guys familiar with the electronic pop duo of the 2010s, LMFAO? Oh yeah? Oh, couple of party rockers in, nice. Love to hear it. Where are they? That's my first question. Dude, it's been 13 years since they put out the party rock anthem. 13 years and we haven't heard shit. Dude, we haven't heard shit. Does anyone care? Nah. No one cares about Red Foo's mental health? I care. I care so much, I Googled them. That's how much I care. And I found this out, and this blew my mind, and I sincerely hope it blows yours. I found out that the two members of the electronic pop duo, LMFAO, the relationship that they share is uncle and nephew. Yeah. I'm sorry, if your brain hasn't exploded out of the front of your head, you're too close to your family. You're too close. You need Jesus, okay? Uncle and nephew in an electronic pop duo. Bruh, I can't even be alone in a room with my uncle, let alone an electronic pop duo. He's on a list, don't worry about it. They wrote the song Sexy and I Know It. Together. Like an uncle and a nephew sat down in a room with a whiteboard, probably. And they wrote the seminal pre-chorus. Girl, look at that body. Girl, look at that body. Girl, look at that body. I work out. Dude, if I wrote a song with my uncle, at best, it'd be called How's Work.
Ladies and gentlemen.
You guys seem fun. You guys seem cool. People ask me, like, Rowan, are you worried about, like, bad crowds? I never worry about bad crowds. I worry about crowds that are, like, too cool, you know? Like, one time I was doing this gig in a pub, and there was a guy sitting in the front row, and he was wearing sunglasses. And I was like, oh, you think you're better than me, man? Huh? You think you're cooler than me? Huh? And then he pulled his cane from underneath his seat. And I was like, oh. He's like, actually, I'm blind. Like, I really wish you were deaf right now. I wish you were Helen Keller, sir. Yeah, the irony was he was blind, but I didn't see that coming. If you're like Rowan, like, you shouldn't make fun of blind people so early on in the show. It's fine, guys, because I believe vision is a spectrum. And I'm on it. I wear glasses. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Appreciate you. Sorry for getting so political. I wear glasses because I'm short-sighted. For those of you that don't know what that means, it means I'm fine when it comes to reading. I'm just terrible at planning my future. I'm really bad at it. My parents thought I might need glasses when I invested all of my super into Blockbuster shares. And they're like, oh yeah, this kid, he doesn't see things from a distance. I got glasses when I was 10. When I was 10 is when I got glasses. And I remember when I went to the optometrist, he was like, Rowan, the reason you need glasses is because you read too many books, you play too much Game Boy, and you're a fucking virgin. Instead of a prescription, he just gave me a wedgie. Shouldn't have gone to Specsavers. Maybe try Oscar Wilde. That's the joke. Just shouting Oscar Wilde. I think one of the worst parts about wearing glasses, besides all the casual, spontaneous sex, is a nerd in the street, but a four-eyed freak in the spreadsheet. I think one of the worst parts about wearing glasses is losing your glasses. Like, that's got to be one of the worst situations of all time, philosophically and practically. Because the thing that you've lost is the thing that could help you find the thing that you've lost. It's like, you know, like if you're looking at me with 20/20 vision because you can't relate to this situation, the closest thing I can equate it to is if you're drinking water out of a plastic water bottle and you're like, oh, wow, this is so delicious. Like, this is so refreshing. Yum, 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 yum. And then a bit of water, like, goes down the wrong way. And then you start choking on the water. And you're like, oh, oh. And then your water bottle's like, looks like you could use a sip of water. And you're like, no, you're the reason I feel this way in the first place. He's like, you love it when I choke you, don't you, Daddy? And I'm like, no, I don't. Why are you doing this to me? He's like, demand and supply, bitch. And if he jumps out of your hand into the ocean, he goes, strangle a turtle? Yeah. Yeah. The joke was about the environment the whole time. Confused? Dazed? Now you know what it's like to lose your glasses. I'm really bad at small talk. But I'm trying to get better. Like, I'm trying to get good at small talk. I think the problem is, the reason I'm bad at small talk is because I know I'm going to die someday, you know? So why not just, like, say what you mean, you know? Speak with urgency. Be the man you want to be in the moment, you know? Problem is like, that kind of thinking, it gets me in trouble a lot because I'll spend a lot of time at parties, stuck in corners, talking to my wife's friend's husband. I don't know if you've ever been in that situation. I guarantee some of you are here tonight in that situation. But you know, the only thing that will save you in that moment is like phenomenal small talk. You know, like I'll be at the chips and dip, right? Obviously. And some dude... I'll be at the chips and dip and some dude will clock me and go, you know what this guy wants to talk... You know what this guy with glasses and a muffin top, you know what he wants to talk about? The Commonwealth Games. Yeah, this guy, I bet, has a hot take on discus. I do? They're too round. Anyway, don't get me started. But what happens in my head versus what comes out of my mouth in these conversations, two very different things, okay? What comes out of my mouth is like, yeah, man. It's crazy that Australia's Justin Bieber, Cody Simpson, is also an Olympic athlete. It's crazy. Not enough people are talking about it, all right? How can the kid that wrote I, feet flow rider, also be great at breaststroke? That's what comes out of my mouth, right? What happens in my head is very different. What happens in my head is like, this is all well and good, but when we're going to talk about the fact you're having panic attacks at work, because that's what your wife told my wife, who told me. Am I supposed to know? Absolutely not. But I'm worried about you, mate. Like, let's chat. He's just like, oh yeah, but did you see Peter Bowl won the 100 metres? I'm like, yeah, but what are you running from, Dan? Seriously. Grow up. I think you should see someone, you know? But that's rich coming from me, because I barely believe in mental health. Do you guys believe in mental health? Really? Okay. It's all in your head, you know? No, it's pretty hard being anti-mental health in 2024. It's really hard. It's almost as hard as being brown and trying to talk about mental health. This is how hard it is to be brown and talk about mental health. White people struggle to talk about mental health, and they invented it, you know? Generally speaking, brown people think about mental health like Santa or kombucha, you know? It's just something that white people invented because you were bored, you know? And don't look at me weird, okay? Because, like, you know, we didn't grow up with Are You OK Day. Like, it wasn't on the cultural calendar, you know? It was more like, why aren't you like your sister day, you know? A couple of other people celebrate that too, okay. I try to talk to my parents about mental health. And I think like everyone in my generation, we all try to talk to our parents about mental health, but they always look at me like I'm talking about whose line is it anyway, or thank God you're here. They're just like, oh. So you just like make it up as you go along. That's so nice. And then they call me white. As an insult, obviously. That's like a nice thing here. They call me white whenever they say something in Tamil and I don't understand, or I share my emotions and they don't understand. I'll be like, Dad, I love you. And he'd be like, I only talk to doctors, so I'm so sorry. So sorry. It's always such a frustrating insult to hear, though, like you're white, you know? Because, like, if it's anyone's job to raise me more brown, like, it's yours, you know? Like, you raised me. Like, you called me Rowan. Like, Rowan literally means small red-headed boy. Like... It sounds like you intended to raise me with sunscreen, at least. I do have like the whitest name in my family. Like objectively, it's like the most Western sounding name. If you were to like read all of my family's names on a piece of paper, you'd be like, oh wow, like that family, they adopted a white kid straight out of the gate. That's so nice. That's like a reverse sponsor child situation. Like that's amazing. You rarely see that. I will explain. Like my sister's name is Samara Jebasothy Thambar, right? Which a lot of people say is like a very beautiful name. It's like a very beautiful name. I think it's fine. I think it's Nicole Kidman, you know? Just not for me. And my brother's name, his name is Zephaniah Navaratnam Thambar, which is the reason why he's always the last to make it through airport security when we travel. My mother's name is Hepzibah Rupti Thambar, which is pretty cool, but her maiden name is Penumbalum, which actually has a beautiful cultural origin. It actually comes from a Sri Lankan password generator. And my dad has the brownest name. His name is Sukumaran Thurvadasan Thambar. And after all of that, they named me, Rowan, Captain James Cook Thambar. Doesn't get any whiter than that. That's a chip sandwich. That is how white that is. But it's not just mental health that me and my parents don't really see eye to eye on. You know, like education was something that was like valued very differently between my generation and my parents' generation. Like my grandfather, you know, it was the primary means to which he changed like his circumstances. He grew up on a farm in Sri Lanka, and his parents were so poor that they couldn't afford pens and paper and stuff like that. And so he had to study really hard in the dirt just so that he could get into university. And he did, and it changed the course of my family's life forever. And I remember when he used to tell me that, like when he used to sit next to me as I did my homework at my desk, and he'd be like, Rowan, like you're so lucky. You know, you have pens and you have paper, like you're so lucky. And I was like, yeah, Appa, like this rubber, it smells like blueberry. Like, do you want to have a sniff? Like this ruler, like it's a bendy ruler. In a couple of years, I'm going to use it to measure my dick, okay? And he just like looked at me with tears just rolling down his face, just like, I had to measure my dick in the dirt. Which is actually like way more impressive than the university thing in my mind. Because it's like, how do you even get down? It's like, how do you even... Anyway, we call him Superflex in our house. But I should have listened because my sister, she's a doctor and I'm a comedian. So we have very different ideas of what the best medicine is. She thinks it's penicillin and I think it's my parents' approval. So we'll see, okay? We'll see what heals. My sister, she lives in Brisbane and I live in Melbourne, and we don't get to see each other all that often, but she came to visit me for my 28th birthday, and when she came and she flew, and I remember when I picked her up from the airport, the first thing she said when she got in the car was like, "Oh, Ro, you know, I almost didn't come on this trip." And I was like, that's rich coming from someone I just picked up from Avalon Airport, okay? I almost didn't come, all right? I almost made you take the Sky bus, dude. She's like, no, Ro, like you have this ability to like turn these like fun kind of conversations into these like deep and meaningful discussions, and I just don't have the time for it, okay? I just don't have the time for it this weekend. And I just took that to mean that she didn't want to talk about the friendship drama she was having, because that's what she had told Mum, who had told Dad, and who had told me. So we just kind of kept it light, had a good time, nothing deep, just good times, mainly because we talked about Cody Simpson the whole time. And at the end of the weekend, she like put her hand on my shoulder and she was like, Ro, like, you know, I had such a great weekend. It's just finally nice to see you so happy again. And I was like, I didn't know I was sad. And she was like, yeah, like we've all in the last year heard you crying in the shower at least once. I was like, heaps of people cry in the shower. She's like, no, but like usually when they do, the water's running. What can I say? I love those acoustics. It did get me thinking though, like, because I have been a lot happier lately. I'm not really sure why. I think it's because I've been a lot happier since we moved to Melbourne. My wife and I, we moved to Melbourne, and we moved because, well, I thought I knew why we moved to Melbourne, but I just found out a few weeks ago that the reason she's been telling people we moved to Melbourne is very different to the reason I've been telling people we moved to Melbourne. I've been telling people the reason we moved to Melbourne is because we were a newly married couple looking for a new adventure in a new city. And Isabel's been telling people the reason we moved to Melbourne is because I made her. Which isn't wrong, but it is mean, because like we'll go to parties and stuff, like in our new, trying to make new friends in Melbourne, and she'll like leave the party just like waving like this. Which I thought was just her being cute, but apparently that's the international sign for I'm been kidnapped, so. If you're not laughing, you're a kidnapper. But like, it did take Isabel a little bit longer to get used to living in a big city. I'll never forget the day that we like moved down to Melbourne, and we had just finished like the long drive, and we got to Melbourne and we were driving over the Balti Bridge, and the sun was like setting behind the city skyline, and Kanye West, all the lights were like playing. Okay, chill out, okay? It was before I realized he was an anti-Semite, okay? No, it was during. It was during. Honestly, I thought he was joking, and I just like wanted to share this like epic moment with my wife, and I just remember like turning to her and being like, babe, like look how big this city is. Think about all the cool people and opportunities we'll have. It's just me and you. And then I turned to like look at her, and she's just bawling her eyes out, just crying. She's just like, look how big this city is. Think of all the people and opportunities we've left behind. It's just me and you. At least I think that's what she said. I couldn't hear her over the sound of my own ambition. Moving to Melbourne was a compromise for Isabel and I. But we compromise on a lot of things. I think it's a part of, you know, being in a relationship, like just how we compromise on where we live. I compromise on what I eat. Like Isabel, she's a vegetarian, and so I eat a lot less meat in my week. And the reason she's a vegetarian is like really great. It's not because she like hates killing animals or anything. She just really loves the taste of iron supplements. Oh, she pops those things like Tic Tacs. No. Now, I'm not here to like make fun of my wife for like her choice. I actually really like that she's a vegetarian. Like I really do. Like she's a vegetarian for a really cool reason. The reason she's a vegetarian is because meat production is like really bad for the environment at its worst. And so she tries to reduce the demand for that kind of meat production so it reduces the effect that it has on the environment. And so when she found that out 7 years ago, she just quit eating meat altogether. Like she just stopped eating meat. She just quit cold turkey, warm turkey, cold beef, warm beef, cold chicken, warm chicken, cold pork, warm pork, cold fish, warm fish. Some of these are just for me, but I think compromise is like an important part of most relationships. Like the thing we've compromised on most recently is, and some people think this is weird. I don't think it's that weird. I think it's normal. She's convinced me to sit down when I pee. Okay, some people think that's weird. Some people even told me that it's emasculating. I don't think it's that emasculating. In fact, the most emasculating part of the whole situation is that I can't convince her to do the same. I know that's like a gross image for you to kind of wrap your head around, but I do all the mopping in my house, so imagine how I feel. She hates that joke. She hates it so much. Almost as much as I hate slipping in a piss, so... I'm kidding, I love it. I love it. Oh, it's so warm. You guys seen Saltburn? Anyway. Despite what you may think, comedy's actually been going really well for me. Hurtful. No, it is like something that's been happening recently. It's kind of weird to like say, but like I'll get recognized at restaurants and stuff like that, which is so weird. Like it's such a weird thing. Not as a comedian, more as like a Uber Eats delivery driver. Yeah, it's 2024. I have an Uber Eats delivery driver bit. Okay, this is my culture. Grow up. Now I will say this: the reason that I get mistaken as an Uber Eats driver is because of my skin. Okay. Not the colour, just how wet it is. I don't know if you can tell, like I'm a moist man. Like I'm a sweaty guy. Like I'm so moist, like I walk into most rooms and people just assumed I arrived there by bike, you know? That and my huge cube backpack I take everywhere. But I went to pick up some dumplings for me and Isabel, and I made the mistake of walking into the restaurant with my phone out. Yeah, fuck me, right? Fuck me for checking a text. And I walk into this restaurant, and as soon as I walk in there, this old Asian lady immediately just starts yelling at me, just immediately. She's just like, "What are you? What are you? What are you?" And I just panicked, because I was like, how does she know how I talk to myself every night before bed? That's crazy. What kind of fortune cookies do you have? She just keeps yelling at me. She's like, "What are you? What are you? What are you? Uber Eats, Deliveroo, Fedora. What are you? What are you?" And I just panicked. I was just like, I'm Sri Lankan. But I'm also Australian. I'm still trying to figure out what that means to me. And that's when like her son like heard what was going on and like freaked out and like ran over to her and like said something to her in another language. And then she looked kind of embarrassed. And then I paid for my food. And then as I took the food, he just like slapped a $2 bag of prawn chips on top of the meal. I was like, as if $2 worth of prawn chips was equivalent to the racial interaction that happened. $2 worth of prawn chips? The lowest unit of measurement in the Chinese restaurant economy? Bro, this is at least worth a honey chicken, motherfucker, okay? I didn't think they'd understood what had gone on, so I just grabbed the old Asian lady by the shoulders. I was like, "What are you? What are you? What are you?" She was like, "Racist." I think another reason I've been a lot happier lately is because I've been having a lot more sex. One day I'll have the courage to end the show there. My wife and I, we've had a lot more sex lately since we got married. My wife and I, we actually didn't have sex until we got married. Not for any religious reasons. We couldn't figure out how it worked. Took us ages to figure out that butt rubbing stuff. Anyway. No. My wife and I, we believe in God. I know. Gross. But as the secular tradition states, thou shalt not yuck my yum, okay? Don't kink shame me, okay? Some people like to get like choked when they have sex, okay? My wife and I, we like to have sex like we're about to get in trouble, you know, like... He gonna get you. I think one of the worst parts about waiting till marriage, besides being on camera duty at every orgy, is couple of tripodders in, okay. Be in the orgy, not of the orgy. If you know, you know. I think one of the worst parts about waiting till marriage is, for most people, like the day that you lose your virginity is like a secret, right? Between you and the person that you gave it to, right? But for the 350 people on our guest list, they now annually observe April 30th as the day I came too quickly for the first time. Someone at our wedding laughing too hard. He sends a card every year. One of the surprising benefits of having more sex, though, is like it's made me kind of appreciate my body a little bit more. Like, I know it's weird for a guy to kind of talk about body image issues, but like for as long as I can remember, I've hated the way that I look. Like, I remember as a kid, like hearing girls talk about like, oh, I hate my butt and I hate my hair and I hate my boobs, and I'd be like, I hate my boobs. Like, for as long as I can remember, I've had these like perky, pesky C cups. Like, what am I supposed to do with these? But I try to work out, you know. I have goals. Like, I really want the V. You guys know the V? You guys familiar? For those of you that don't know, the V is like a muscle that you can get. All you have to do is just like enough sit-ups that you lose your entire personality. Cum gutters. That's what some people call them. Cum gutters. I didn't even know cum needed irrigation. I've been trying to get a cum plumber to come help me clear out these pipes, you know? I'll do anything for the V. Anything. Except for diet and regular exercise. I'm also bald too, which doesn't help. Technically I'm not bald. Technically my hair just works remotely. Primarily from my back and shoulders, and it's good for them, terrible for me. And it's good. I went bald when I was 23. That's so young, dude. That's so young. People have had sourdough starters longer than I've had a fringe. But I still managed to like lock down an absolute smoke show by the time I was 27. That's how good my personality is. That and something that most people don't know is like when you actually go bald, they give you a make-a-wish. And she was mine. But since Isabel and I have been visiting Bonetown more often, that is the traditional name. Since we have, it's been a slow appreciation to like love my body as much as she loves mine. I'll never forget like the moment that changed for me. It was actually on our wedding night, right? And it was when she saw my dick for the first time. And she said with such sincerity, just like, is that even going to fit? And so I got my Superflex out to check. Spoiler alert, heaps of room. So much. It's never not gonna fit. But like, she just said it with such an honesty that like just, you know, years of body shame and hatred just like evaporated in that moment. So much so that like now sometimes I don't wear a shirt at the beach. So... So, what do you do?
Oh, I'm a plumber.
What kind? I think the most frustrating part about my sister telling me that I used to be sad is that I felt like I should have known, you know? Like, self-awareness, that's like my generation's thing. Like, that's the thing I've been trying to do for the last however many minutes. Like, I've been trying to show you why I've been happier lately. Like, I know why, you know? But knowing why you're happier lately is like very different to knowing why you were sad. And I think after a while I figured out that the main reason is because I mistook self-absorption for self-awareness. Self-awareness, it leads to growth and maturity. Self-absorption leads to self-hatred, self-destruction, and worse, earnest moments in comedy shows. That's why I've been trying to get better at small talk. It's because it's like a test for me, you know, to see if I can talk about something other than myself for 5 minutes of a day with a stranger. And maybe if I talk about the Commonwealth Games for long enough, maybe my mate who's actually going through something shares about what's really been going on. It's a lesson that I had to learn the hard way. I remember in the midst of my sad boy era, I shat blood for a whole week. Yeah, how do you think I felt, okay? I know that shocked you. And I did what anyone would do in that situation. I called my dad, who's a doctor, surprise, and nah, he's actually an Uber Eats delivery driver. Nah, he is a doctor, well, in his country, but called my dad and I was like, Dad, I'm bleeding out of my asshole. And he was like, well, I have this friend named Raj. I was like, of course you do. And don't see how that's related. And he was like, he's a gastroenterologist. And I was like, maybe lead with that. And he was like, I think you should go see him. And so I booked in an appointment. And I sat down in his office and he was like, he actually hadn't seen me since I was a kid, so he just wanted to like talk about like, you know, oh, you're a grown man, you're an adult, like that's so exciting, like what's been happening? And I was like, right, just cut the chit chat. I'm bleeding out of my asshole. And he was like, okay, well, based on what you've told me, based on what your dad's told me, I think the best thing that we should do is like just do a colonoscopy. Yeah, I'm 27, bald, now I'm having a colonoscopy. How did I let things get this bad? And so Raj left the room and a nurse came in, gave me a gown to get changed. And then I got changed and then she came in again, this time with like a clear bottle with clear liquid and a nozzle on the top. And she said, this is an enema and there's two options here. Either you can do this by yourself in that bathroom or I can do it for you. And I was like, I know you seem more qualified to do this. My dad's a doctor, so I'll give it a go. And she's like, okay, fine. All you have to do is you have to go in that bathroom, bend over, and stick the nozzle in your asshole and squeeze until all the liquid goes in. She's like, you do that and it'll clear you out immediately. I was like, can I just have a long black? Because that'll do the same, you know? Just a couple of sips, really. Like, sometimes even just the smell. And then she was like, actually, this experience is a lot more comfortable than drinking hospital coffee. So I was like, okay, fair enough. And I went into the bathroom and I like locked the door because I'm a gentleman. And I like bent over and I stuck this enema into my asshole. And I thought and I sincerely thought all of this liquid just dribbled down the back of my legs. Like I didn't think it was gonna do anything. So I stuck it in there. I squeezed, and then all the liquid went straight into my asshole. It went straight in. There was not a single dribble down the back of my leg. I couldn't believe it. I took it out. I'm twerking to make sure it's still in there. I'm doing jumping jacks. If you've never done an enema before, it's kind of like, say you have like a jacket, right? Your favorite jacket of all time, okay? A jacket you've worn for your whole life, right? And after 27 years, you find out it has a secret pocket. Like it's crazy. Like I just thought about all the things that I could have been shoveling in there. Like I love Luxor, you know? Like I could have just walked into most Thai restaurants with a funnel, you know, These are the thoughts that ran through my brain as I shat uncontrollably from the enema. I walked out of the bathroom and the nurse saw me and she's like, "How did you go?" And I was like, "My butt has a pocket." And she was like, "You can do a whole lot more than that." And she winked at me and I was like, "Oh! I'm waiting till marriage." And then they kind of like rolled me from where I was up into like the room where they had the surgery, right? And something that I haven't told you guys yet is that I had an option. I could either do the surgery awake or asleep. But because I was so anxious about work and things like that, I didn't want to take the extra day off, which I would have needed to if I went under an anaesthetic. So I elected to do the entire surgery awake. So when I went into the operating room, instead of putting me under, they just rolled me onto my side. And Raj came in just like lubing up this massive long wire, just making the most inane small talk of all time. Just like, "Oh, Rowan, so your dad, he tells me you want to be a comedian." I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "Oh, you want to be on TV?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And he was like, "Well, if you look on that screen over there, you're going to be very soon." And then what I proceeded to watch is just the worst reenactment of that episode of the Magic School Bus where they go inside of a kid I've ever seen. It was just like my brown, hairy ass, and then just darkness. And then Raj flicks a light on the end of the wire, and it's just pink. Like, it's so pink. It made the Barbie movie look like Oppenheimer. It was so pink. And then he just starts, like, ramming me with this wire as he keeps making small talk. He's like, "Oh, are you excited for the Olympics?" I'm like, "Yeah, but how's your mental health, Raj?" And he was like, that's pretty personal." I'm like, "All right." And then after a while, he's like kind of looking, and he goes, "Rowan, like, I don't actually see anything wrong here. Like, everything looks really good. What do you think's caused this? Like, has something changed in your life? Have you seen any kind of differences in maybe something that you're eating or, you know, your regular schedule?" And I was like, "I feel like I've been healthier than I've ever been before, Raj. I've been eating a lot better than I've ever been before. I've just started dating this girl. She's a vegetarian, so we've just been eating all these like vegetarian meals. Like, I have this incredible recipe for like a beetroot salad if you want." Yeah, that's what Raj said. He's like, you know, beetroot sometimes makes your shit red. You've been so far up your own arse, you got a colonoscopy you didn't need? After I dropped Samara off at the airport, my parents called me for my 28th birthday. And my parents, that's not their preferred method of communication. My parents' preferred method of communication is rocking up to your front door, unannounced, opening it with the key they've somehow cut, and then just filling your fridge full of food you don't need. But since Isabel and I moved to Melbourne, they've had to kind of channel all of their love through the most cooked phone calls I've ever had in my whole life. Like, I'll pick up the phone and my mum will be like, "Hello, puppy! Hello, puppy! Hello, puppy!" She's like, it's like she's trying to pinch my cheeks with the sound of her voice. My dad's like the same level of intensity, just like a different frequency. He'll pick up the phone and he'll be like, "Hello, little boy." It feels like a butt-dialed Sri Lankan Yogi Bear. He's like, "Would you like to go on a picnic?" And they call me every year for my birthday, and they do this. My mum does this thing every year where she can't believe that I'm the age that I'm turning. Like, she'll pick it up and she'll be like, "I cannot believe I have a 28-year-old son. I cannot believe I have a 28-year-old son." I'm like, "I still can't believe you don't know how time works." She'll crumple into like an emotional heap, and then my dad will pick up the phone and he'll be like, "Happy birthday, little boy." And like, that always makes me laugh. Like, it always makes me laugh. And I start laughing, and my mum's like, "Oh, Bubby, it's so nice to hear you so happy again." And I was like, "Oh, I didn't know. I was sad." She's like, well, over the last year, we've all seen your search history. I was like, Mum, don't kink shame me. She's like, no, I just don't think you should Google how to get people to respect you. I'm like, yeah, Mum, I am a lot happier, but I'm not really sure why. And she's like, well, Rowan, you're in Melbourne and you're pursuing your dreams and we're so proud of you. And, you've got Isabel now and you guys look after each other. But the biggest thing is that you're just not in your head as much as you used to be. And I think she's right, Just like you don't know that you're going through like the best parts of your life. Sometimes it's hard to know that you're going through the worst parts too. That is until someone you love shows you how far you've come. That's what I said in my head, obviously. What came out of my mouth was very different. What came out of my mouth was like, so how's work?